All right, so welcome back to College Football 25 and building the Chippewas. Coming off of our first playoff appearance, which saw our first playoff win before we got pretty outclassed by Oregon in the Rose Bowl. I don't even know if we've set our custom schedules yet, so that is going to be the first order of business. We'll go on the road to South Alabama, I guess. But that is going to be the 2034 schedule. On the road at South Alabama, and then home against Charlotte, a really bad Michigan State team, and a playoff rematch last year with UConn. Went 12-1 a year ago. That one loss coming to Central Michigan. And then we got Kent State, Miami of Ohio, Buffalo, Western Michigan, Toledo, Akron, Bowling Green, and Eastern Michigan in MAC play. So first order of business is going to be to go through the 5 stars. Only one 5-star quarterback. That really blows, and he's already locked us out. 5-star running back would not really be the best idea necessarily. Probably skip on that. Not going to be a fullback. There are some receivers that are open to talking to us. Deep threat, Brett Gentry. I like that. And also deep threat, Tommy Johnson. We won't go for like the top players in the class, even though the competition's going to be high for all of these guys. Just imagine if we could get 2 5-star receivers on this team. Five-star offensive tackle. Don't mind if I do. There's one 5-star guard. I think I'm going to skip on that and aim for 4 stars. If we're a lot more precise and deliberate with the 5 stars, instead of just picking every 5-star that's going to talk to us, we'll probably get more 4 stars on this team as well, which is what our recruiting classes have been lacking. We've gotten the 5 stars. Each of the last 3 seasons, the 4 stars haven't wanted to come here because we can't spend that much time trying to get them. 301-pound defensive end. We have his playing time deal breaker, so let's give it a go. Oh, defensive tackles. Holy. Kevin Ricketts. Do we want Aries Bowser or Karma Yancey? 327-pound power rusher, 325-pound power rusher. Let's go with Bowser. We've already got 6 5-star targets. I think it's a good time to go into the 4 stars. Quarterback is listed as in need. Brian DeMercado, a field general quarterback. That is interesting to see at a 5-star. Who knows? Let's see if there's a 5-star that makes sense for us to go after. I like going after DeMercado. We've used the quarterback with speed to our advantage more often than not here at CMU, but the fact that there is a good field general quarterback staring us in the face, even though we might be a little bit tough to get, gotta add him to the board. I'd like to add a running back just as a bit of a safety blanket in case that 5-star we got a couple years ago goes somewhere else. So let's find out who that's going to be. Dwayne Shipley, Jeff Suggs is a receiving back, Greg Poe, power back, another power back. I don't particularly like any of these guys necessarily. Let's add Joe Shelley to the board. That's the number 3 running back in the class, so a pretty big ask, but see if we can get him. Let a couple 4-star receivers to the board in case the 5-stars don't pan out. Bernie Fallon. Tight ends is going to start to be a position of need here shortly. I mean, our 5-star in Malik Hendricks is, I believe, entering his junior season. Could very well go to the NFL after this year. Dallas Sims. And actually got a little bit of a head start here on Dakota Gaffney. Offensive tackle, not a need. Offensive guard is. So let's go JT Brown. And an in-state guy. Maybe even 2 in-state guys. There's only one. Fowler. And then Dom Denbo here from Ohio. It's close enough. Center for the first time in a long time is a need. And there are only a few 4-stars. Let's go after the worst one, Steven Dieter. Connor Hanneman and Amani Stoner. Add those at defensive end. Defensive tackle, we're going to want to add a few here. Marquise Peppers, Gideon Chukwuma. Ooh, hello. And Kareem Hood. Linebacker, listed as a need. Enrique Keener, in-state. I like our chances there a lot. Let's also go Cam Sternberger out of Ohio. Middle linebacker, shouldn't be a need. It is not. Corner is. Devin Smoker, Jamal Ellington, Jimmy Stewart. Safety, not a need, so we're going to skip that. Strong safety is a need, though. Jalen Hart. Preferably a hybrid safety, so I'm looking at Bland or Shelley. Shelley's a little shorter, a little lighter. I'm going to go with Bland. All right, time to do some scouting. I've never really seen a 5-star bust. I'd imagine the percentage of that happening, the chance of that happening is probably pretty low. Brett Gentry. Right on cue. Outstanding. So I think that means we just drop Gentry right off our board now that we know that Tommy Johnson is at least how he's supposed to be. We'll just drop any of the busts. We don't want any of those. Oh, Andy Gallen, a 4-star gem. Bernie Fallon, a 4-star gem. Shows good players. Dallas Sims, a 4-star gem. Now, this is going to make things real tough. Because I do believe the CPU is able to scout as well, so they know. Hanneman's a bust. Unfortunate. Stoner is not. Marquise Peppers, a defensive tackle, 4-star gem. Sternberger at linebacker. That's no good. Ooh, Ellington's also a gem. Did really well in the player selection. Stewart. We selected 2 4-star gem corners. And a gem at safety. Holy hell. I've never had that kind of success in just random guessing at the very beginning. And we were able to scout everybody too, which is just pretty huge. It was Aries Bowser who locked us out as a 5-star, and Steven Dieter, 4-star center, so we're going to have to rework our center position. Look at recommended centers. There's only one 4-star. Actually, there's a couple in here. Antonio Eagles and Matt Wilbur. Let's add Wilbur. And 700 hours off rip here for recruiting. So we're going to have a chance to do something pretty big. And now with the limited amount of 5-stars we have here, I mean, we're just going to send it on these guys here early. We can back some of this off if we need to. But I think we're just going to go probably 25 hours right out of the gate on the 4-stars and hope for the best. Let's see how many we can get to. All right, so we were able to spend 25 hours on all of the 4-stars except for 3. We're going to spend 10 on the gem in 4-star safety, Jalen Hart. Unable to do anything on Bland and Wilbur. And I don't think we're going to be in their top 8 as things stand. So we might lose out on that. But if we get Hart here, then losing Bland isn't really all that big of a deal. Let's move on to week 1 and see what the hell we can get into when it comes to recruiting after that and see what the hours that we spent here do. See a lot of success. Locked out on Bland and Wilbur. Okay. So we're pretty much good on almost everything else. We're only going to have 5 hours to work with this week. So what we'll do with those is head on over to Jalen Hart. We did just crack his top 8 with what we had done already. So that's good. And then Bland and Wilbur, we'll have to worry about center later. But if we get Hart here, safety's not a concern. All right, pretty convincing win in week 1. And after week 1, the Central Michigan Chippewas are ranked 23rd in the country after a 49-23 win on the road against South Alabama. Now 3 non-conference home games. Charlotte, Michigan State, and the big one in UConn that isn't going to really be a big one now, as they lost week 1. They went 12-0 in the regular season last year. All right, 45-17 win over Charlotte. We are beating opponents that we should beat, and beating them by a good bit. The defense is a little bit questionable. I feel like we shouldn't be allowing that many points to teams like this. And now we face Michigan State at home, who, at least last year, was not a good team. And I couldn't imagine that they jumped up that much between off seasons. So, and they're already 1-1, so they've already lost in non-conference, no less. You would imagine. So hopefully we can beat Michigan State, go 3-0. MAC Defensive Player of the Week. We've had really bad luck with this award. Ted Eckert, senior defensive end, 2 sacks, 4 tackles, 1 TFL. Yes, we did. 35-26, so not even really close. Beat them by 2 scores. Now it's the big one against 2-1 UConn, who is ranked all of a sudden, by the way. They lost their opener, but now are back into the top 25 at 2-1. This is a home game for us after we played them on the road in the playoffs last year. We beat UConn. This season is really shaping up well. We lose to UConn by 8. Even though we played them at home, drops us to 23rd in the rankings. Still a top 10, top 25 team as we enter MAC play. As things stand, there is only one ranked MAC team, and that is Akron that we play week 11. So, some big recruiting losses that I didn't see. Rashawn Burnett, defensive end, commits to Nebraska. We were second on his board. Now, the good news here is that Kevin Ricketts, with some extra hours to spend for the time being, we are leading and have the ability to just max out these hours and really hope for the best. And this is early in the season, too. Now, Ohio State's here. He has a visit in week 6. We're only in week 5, so if we absolutely send the house on this guy this week, maybe we force a commit before that visit even happens. Actually, that's not Ohio State, that's Oklahoma. Gonna have to do some work on Gaffney here. Which means we're gonna have to back that off. And even this, I don't think is gonna be able to do it. We're a good ways behind Akron, but it's worth a try. Peppers goes to Virginia Tech. We just missed the top 3 on Hood, and it wasn't by much. Let's head down here to Jalen Hart and Juan Turpin and give them the 25 treatment that we've given everyone else. We lead on Turpin, although very early, and we have a pretty big lead right now on Jalen Hart, which is massive. 55 hours left. Wouldn't hurt to put some in here on Fowler. A player like Chikwuma, who we're behind on. Smoker, who we trail on. And 10 hours to spend on somebody else. Let's find a good candidate. Dallas Sims, just because he's a gem at 4-star, and nobody else is really all that progressed on him. All right, we are looking good for the moment on Tommy Johnson, although Virginia Tech is lurking. We're trailing on Ramon Santana, and there's just not much else I can do outside of backing off 15 hours and trying to soft sell him. But what do we soft sell him on? All his interests are things that we don't do well. Can we hit all 3 of those A's? No, but we can do this. Pitch him as a starter. Those are great grades for us. Let's try it. I mean, we're a good ways behind Miami here. This is an absolute Hail Mary. Kevin Ricketts, we are very dangerously close to losing out to Oklahoma. And this is the week of that visit, so I don't think that's going to go very well. Tommy Johnson. Can we soft sell him on his 3 interests? Yes, we can. They're not the worst grades in the world. Actually, we have to back off even more. No, we don't. Something just glitched out. Where was it? There we go. Yeah, no, we'll do this here on Tommy Johnson and hope for the best. Get some extra stuff in on some of these guys that need some work. An extra 10 hours a week could possibly go a long way in a battle with Auburn for Andy Gallen. 15 targets, but even if we get all these guys and then fill it in with 3 stars, we're gonna be looking at a really nice class. But we got to get some commits before we start adding the 3 stars in. How many hours do we have left? 55? Is there anybody that we can even spend 55 more hours on? We could do more work here on DeMercado. Give him 65 instead of what we were spending before. 25 more hours left, so in a perfect world, a player we can spend 75 on, like Devin Smoker. Or maybe there's probably a gem down here we can do that on, like a Jalen Hart. Now the only problem is we can only spend 60. It's all we have. So, but it is still an improvement on Hart. That's good. Absolutely dominant win over Kent State to improve to 4-1, 1-0 in our conference, 31-7. Kent State doesn't appear to be very good, but we are up to number 14 in the country. How things have changed for the Chips. So Santana to Miami, Ricketts to Oklahoma. That leaves 1 5-star on our board, and that is Tommy Johnson. I'm a bit worried about North Carolina here. That visit has got to be coming up. So if we can get him committed this week, big win. If not, oh boy. DeMercado, LSU jumped us big time. That's not looking very good. We're going to have to send a bit of a Hail Mary here on Shelley. I've had very bad luck with soft sells, but maybe, just maybe, this can work. We got an A, we got a B, and a C-. It could be worse. Give it a go. Andy Gallen. I want to force the issue when it comes to Andy Gallen. A 5-star receiver if we're able to get him, and then a 4-star gem is just a massive win. An A, a A-, B-, C-. Could be worse. Bernie Fallon. Let's just add, actually, let's take out this 35. Give him 50. Dallas Sims, if we could force the issue on Sims, that could be massive for us. Another 4-star gem. Brown, wide open. I feel like the best way to go about this with our remaining hours is just to send the house on guys that we otherwise weren't. Hart, we were already sending the house. And then we can do the same here on Turpin. Back that off, and we're going to have 5 hours spent on somebody. And I'm going to make it Jalen Hart. Quinn Atkins wins MAC Defensive Player of the Week. 2 sacks, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Senior defensive tackle. We won, but it was a close game. 44-38 over Miami of Ohio, which is a little concerning because they're really not all that good, and that was at home. Now we take on a good MAC team. Same record as us. At home. Come on, CMU. We need this win. What a season we're in the midst of. Building that program prestige. Need this bad. Well, Johnson, DeMercado, and Shelley, all the guys at the top of our board go elsewhere. I mean, we don't have a single commit yet. So it's time to dive into the 3 stars, it appears. Because I highly doubt there's any 4 stars left on the board. We do have a couple 4-star quarterbacks. One's a scrambler. I'm going to add the scrambler. It's what we know. Still second on Bernie Fallon, but he's going to go to LSU. We're losing out on recruits to LSU now. But we do still at least have a chance on Andy Gallen. Larry Bolin, we are very far behind, but how are we on Sims? Leading on Sims, that's probably going to be a commit for us, and that's a 4-star gem. So I'm confident in that we'll have a tight end. Offensive tackle Javier Davis. Doesn't look like super hard competition for him. Antonio Eagles. Not in his top 8 yet. Let's go there. There is a defensive end left still. David Obasuyi. We're so desperate at DT, we're going to add Craig Dora here. And then we'll focus just on these guys for the time being. Just because I'd like to be able to focus a little bit more heavily on these players. Instead of just scattering hours across everybody right now. 165 hours, so we can't spend 25 on everyone. I don't believe. But will we be able to get 15 players with 25 here? Spend 15 on Uzama and leave Dora with none and just the scholarship. Our first commit of 2034, 4-star gem wide receiver, Andy Gallen. It's a big win. No 5 stars for us this year, but we do have a chance at multiple 4-star gems. Yeah, we lost, all right. Buffalo improves to 6-1. CMU is still ranked. Despite being 5-2, Buffalo unranked at 6-1. 5 games remaining on our schedule, hoping that people above us slip up. Now, we made the playoffs with a loss, an extra loss from what we have right now a year ago, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the same thing again. When it gets a little bit later in the season, we're going to start checking the top 25. All right, I got a little spooked because championship contender went down, but we do beat Western Michigan by 16. Okay. Once again, not a good recruiting week, but it looks to be like we're in the thick of things. Really don't think we can afford another loss. After this game against Toledo, who's good, and Akron, who's actually... I don't even know if we want to bother checking the rankings. We have 2 really big games coming up here against Toledo and Akron. Jalen Hart just seemingly out of nowhere to Texas, a player that I wanted from the very beginning. Now, the good news is that it really doesn't look like we're in any danger on Dallas Sims, who's a tight end. That's going to be a big win for us. Turpin, not in any danger for the moment. Spend some points there. Spend some points here since we're in a battle with Tennessee. Spend some points here because we're in a battle with Tennessee. Spend more points here because we're in a battle with just about everybody. Nothing crazy going on here with the Antonio Eagles. Really probably should have focused in a little bit more on some of these guys here towards the bottom. Because, I mean, there's a good chance they lock us out. I mean, we could have a really small class if this stuff keeps up. But we'll be able to spend 10 on everybody else on our board and focus our remaining points, what little there are, on whoever needs it. All right, so 3-star tight end Dallas Sims. I can't remember if he was a gem or not. Has committed to Central Michigan. That is our second commit of the year, which is not exactly good. It's a win against Toledo, but it's a close win, 34-31. But they were a good MAC team, at least for the moment. Now we take on Akron, who is also 7-2, and in games where we have had very similar records, very similar skills, we have not done all that well, and this is a rematch from the MAC championship game a year ago. And in rematches from a year ago, so far this season, at least in the big games, we are 0-1. So, let's beat Akron, and then we might actually jump up in the rankings, at least a little bit, beating a very quality unranked opponent. 70 hours to spend is actually a good thing, for once. What we're going to do, focus in on the top of the board. We've got some competition on Turpin from Michigan, but no visit scheduled. We're doing the best that we can on him. I'm not really worried. Deontay Harper, NC State, is right on our ass. Not much else we can do. Able to get 7, so I think all but the bottom 2. Able to spend 25 hours on, and in a class right now with only 2 guys. Things aren't looking very pretty. Oh, nope, it's the bottom 3. Well, I guess we're just going to spend the extra 10 that we just took away. We lose to Akron, 27-20. And it is not looking good. To even make the MAC championship game, let alone the playoff or anything else that we set our sights on, that blows, man. We lose to 2 teams in the sim in UConn, who is 5th ranked all of a sudden, despite losing their opener. And 2 games overall, as an independent, no less. But we also lose to Akron, who we beat in the MAC championship game a year ago. So, rematches in the sim were not the move. 4-star outside linebacker Juan Turpin, who I do believe is also a gem, has committed to Central Michigan. And if that's the case, we got 2 5-star linebackers last year. Our linebacker core could just be outstanding. MAC Offensive Player of the Week, senior receiver Adrian Barkow caught 6 balls, 129 yards for 5 scores. So we beat Bowling Green 35-21. Every single point that we scored was an Adrian Barkow touchdown. That's a little concerning. I mean, I thought with the running backs that we would have had on this team that we would have been doing crazy in the running game, but apparently that's just not the case. All right, so we sit at 5-2 in the conference. We need 2 teams to lose. We need Buffalo and Northern Illinois to lose. If Akron loses and these 2 win, nothing matters. Oh, boy. I mean, how did we lose to Buffalo anyway? How are they doing this good? They don't look that crazy at all. The top 2 teams I get. But, I mean, still, look at our overall... The sim is just driving me insane, man. Did we get locked out on someone? Or did we just gain extra hours? Oh, somebody committed. Duh. Turpin committed. So, we're doing well here on Harper. We're going to lose out on Winbush. Probably going to lose out on Bolin. Probably going to lose out to Javier Davis, even though we're competing primarily against another no, that's not a MAC school. It's NC State. Leading on Eagles. Trailing on Obasui, or whatever the hell his name was. This has been such a fail of a recruiting season. I swear to you. Like, what is even the point of maxing out recruiter? Like, oh, great, you increased their starting interest. Well, you still can't get them. I don't even know how these two haven't locked this out yet. I'm actually leading on both of them. Dude, how the fuck? How in the hell did we make the MAC championship game? Chaos had to happen. And apparently chaos did happen. We beat Eastern Michigan. We are the 16th ranked team in the country. Akron ranked number 19. Oh my. This is a very, very big opportunity. And a rematch with Akron from a year ago in this same title game. Now, just what does this game mean? It's looking like not a lot. We got the Rice Owls at 11-1. Somehow, someway, they are first in the American, and if they win the conference championship over there, we do not make the playoff. Is there anybody else we need to worry about? No. It is just Rice. If we win and Rice loses, we are going to get an automatic bid.